Welcome to the Sarcasm Society. It's been a long time. Oh, and I don't feel like it. But we're gonna go for it. It's fun stuff, reality television. Briefly, I'm not gonna go into like the whole thing. This is why I wrote some of this shit down because I got all lost already. So, FishTank.live was a reality web series. A lot of people called it like Big Brother with retards. There's a lot of truth to that. Theirs is completely unique in one aspect that it really was completely accessible 24/7 for 6 straight weeks, minus, I want to say, 30 total hours. They went to YouTube briefly for like 5 days and they got kicked off YouTube and went back to the website. Like, the show kind of sucked the first 10 days. So the first 10 days are kind of boring. And then like day 11 to like day 17 are also kind of boring. They're kind of like the real world, which I think every time somebody says Big Brother, they should check themselves, because Big Brother is just a fucking carbon copy of the real world. I mean, even I was a little too young for the real world, but I remember like it was like a big deal.
This is the true story. True story.
7 strangers picked to live in a loft
and have their lives taped
To find out what happens.
What?
When people stop being polite. Could you get the phone?
and start getting real.
The real world.
I thought it was like, this is never gonna happen. This is not going to happen. They can't do this to 7 people.
1992, the real world, okay? I would say the first 17 days of FishTank.live is a lot like this. They were like trying to be this show while also kind of make fun of Big Brother, because Big Brother added all the challenges,
People.
Well,
At first I thought that they were gonna put us in like this little box and it was gonna be like a nightmare.
Hello, I'm Julie, and I'm from Birmingham.
My father wants me to be a computer operator.
They weren't allowed to go outside, and I thought one thing that was interesting about it is, back then we didn't have like phones you could carry around. So the people were allowed to go anywhere in New York, but everywhere they went, there was this guy with this gigantic camera and a boom mic following him. So everybody's staring at you everywhere you go. So people just never left the house. This show deserves a lot more credit than Big Brother, but everybody shouts. Like, reality television in reality has been around since like the 40s and strong. Like, it's been so prominent in television so far back. It's crazy to think about. Like, here's a weird one for you that you wouldn't think about as reality television that was super successful. America's Funniest Home Videos. I mean, that's one of the most successful reality television shows ever. But I feel like it gets classified as the American Idol and the Big Brother and the Survivor and the Kim Kardashian. But there's like so much more of a gigantic genre that there's so much good reality television. It's kind of hilarious. But let me show you this. This here is from the 40s. This was a show called I've Got a Secret. But Lucille Ball was on this show. Think about how weird that is.
I've got a secret. I would like to go over and personally escort our next guest on the show tonight.
That guy's 96 years old.
Mind if I pull you in, sir? There we go. Will you tell our panel, please, what your name is and where you're from?
My name's Samuel J. Seymour. I'm from Maryland.
This is Mr. Seymour from Maryland. And we brought Mr. Seymour all the way up from Maryland, and by golly, he got in a hotel and fell down the steps and gave himself a shiner. And we urged him not to come on the show tonight, as a matter of fact, and finally got in touch with his doctor. The doctor said it was up to Mr. Seymour. Mr. Seymour said he wouldn't miss it. So here he is, and feeling the party for the day. Now then, Mr. Seymour, how old are you, by the way, sir?
96.
96 years old. Now, sir, if you'll whisper your secret to me, I'm sure the folks at home would like to know what it is. classify as secret.
Isn't that crazy? That guy, he really did too. He saw John Wilkes Booth shoot Abraham Lincoln, and then he's on television talking about it at 96 years old, and then like 78 years later, 79 years later, we're watching it. Think about how insane that is. The point of this is how far back reality TV, I mean, it's like right at the start of television. There were some really cool ones, like in the 60s, there was one called Iron Age, where this family lived in the Iron Age. It was like over a year, I think.
In the late 70s, 6 couples and 3 children took part in a unique experiment. They chose to spend 13 months living in the Iron Age. Forsaking all the trappings of the modern era, they lived, worked, slept and ate as their ancestors would have done 2,300 years ago.
Can I have one person hold each leg? Yeah. Where do you reckon to stick it? Just a second.
No one was voted out, though some did choose to leave, and the cameras only visited for 2 days a week.
Living in the past was an experiment in reconstructing an ancient way of life. For one entire year, a group of 12 young people and 3 small children first built, then lived and worked on a replica of an ancient British farm, cut off from the modern world. They didn't attempt to become ancient Britons, that was obviously impossible. But for the whole of that year they wore, or didn't wear, the same kind of clothes, lived in the same kind of buildings, raised the same crops and livestock, and used the same tools which archaeologists and historians tell us were used more than 2,000 years ago, in the Iron Age. The settlement, about an acre in extent, was laid out in a woodland clearing on the high chalk downland of North Dorset. Here, in early spring, the volunteers had to set out to build their own home. For the first few weeks, they wore modern clothes and used simple modern tools, but the materials they used and the plans to which they worked were authentic enough. They had to build their prison before they could live in it.
It's very hard to find the motivation sometimes, I find.
Sheer hell. It was very cold, it was very wet, it was extremely hard work, and it was quite hard to keep the morale up. Several of us at that point in time questioned whether we were going to see it through.
I've actually watched it. It's pretty neat. Another one like that, Pioneer Women, or Pioneer something.
It's a return to life in the 1870s. A struggle to survive in the rugged Canadian heartland with only the tools of the time.
You can't prepare yourself for how hard it is doing this. As hard as we thought it would be, it's way harder.
2 couples will be paid $100,000 apiece if they complete a year living as prairie settlers.
This project's not going to work if we're not going to work together as a team.
In the 1870s, people would get like this and they would die. Pretty tough stuff when they started. It was the worst year in 100 years.
That one's fucking insane. If you ever want to see a crazy one, it's this husband and wife, these 2 couples. And it's like a younger couple and an older couple, and they have to live in the Wild West, and they like go out there in a carriage, and everything they're allowed to have, they get in this carriage with these horses, and they're just there. Like, it was pretty nuts. That was a pretty nutty one. It was like Survivor, man, because it was kind of crazy. When I was looking up the history of reality television, there was this girl who wrote her thesis paper from West Virginia University on the history of reality television, and I gotta tell you, it is so fucking wrong. Completely missed so much history, and it credits everything to Big Brother. Big Brother revolutionized reality television. It was all Big Brother. Like, what? It was fucking weird. I'd show it, but she already got the doctorate, so I don't even want to give her any more clout. So, yep, that was boom. Kenny Vs Spenny. But then, like, Kenny Vs Spenny is more like, it's real. It's so real.
The competition this week is who can wear the chicken coop on their head the longest.
First one to touch the ground
loses.
Ow! 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 Who can produce more cum? Semen? No children, no homeless gentlemen, no corpses. Who can tied to a goat the longest? Who can eat the most meat? I don't feel so good. You got a huge bag of weed. Whoever smokes the most wins. This is the boner competition. First one to get a boner loses. He doesn't even have a boner! Yeah! You weigh more than me. My penis weighs more than you. Don't laugh at that. It's not funny.
The two of them, those two guys being those two guys, you know. Of course, you act a little different in front of the camera and everything. It's still, its basis in reality. I think that and FishTank had that in common. Funny story about Kenny Vs Spenny that I learned. Like one of their first shows aired right before this like really mild banner like news show old people would tune into.
Season 1 originally aired on CBC, and it's no surprise that its time slot stirred up a little bit of controversy.
When you put the show on CBC, it didn't for a lot of reasons, I'm sure, this show, you were canceled.
The end of one of their episodes was them, I don't know, sucking each other's toes or something, and people freaked out. It was a funny story to hear.
For whatever reason, their slot on CBC was directly before the news program The National.
There's one from that last story we thought you'd want to see. So, what caused Briar's laughing fit? Well, it was a cat. It jumped up her cameraman's back and then onto the camera itself.
Oh yeah, Spenny. So I did not brush my teeth yesterday. I did not brush my teeth today. I am going to drink Thai fish sauce, drink some pickle juice, eat some anchovy paste, and chew on an onion. This is actually going to be very disgusting for me, but I think it's going to be worth it.
Oh yeah, Spenny.
Let's take a look at Space Cadets. So this was a show created in Britain. Okay, Britain's got some funny ones, including if you've never seen An Idiot Abroad.
Someone who can help you.
Oh, hang on. Whoa. So what you're saying, that I'm not going to bring anything to the party here?
I've never seen a dwarf go on a round-the-world trip on any programme.
Really stop just puffing and panting like that.
Jesus Christ. It's like a Primark sale.
He said if he did it again, he'd want some company this time. He meant me, but I've sent someone in my place.
Yeah. Grab hold of that. We can't see it.
They're like chalk and cheese. Carl whinges all the time.
He's doing me head in. He's treating it like a holiday.
He says he doesn't want adventure, he doesn't want stress.
I'm just not a good swimmer.
Once you're in, it'll be fine.
Warwick never says no. He'd take on a challenge.
Tease the camera, tease the camera. Now do a little bit from Oliver. Good.
It's not the night for this, is it? Warwick, you'll have to do it.
I'm not doing it.
They're going to have the adventure of their lifetime, whether they like it or not.
Whoa.
That is technically classified as reality television. That is some of the funniest television I've ever watched in my life. Now in FishTank, there is an element that's a lot like the Space Cadets. Okay? So this show, I'm going to let them explain to you what this show is. Here we go.
2005, these three people believed for 5 days they were astronauts, 200 kilometers above the Earth's surface on a Russian space shuttle.
We've just seen the Earth, like, I can't even believe I'm saying that sentence.
They were actually in a state-of-the-art Hollywood simulator in an aircraft hangar in England.
Solid rocket boosters have ignited.
We're doing 20
28,000 kilometers per hour right now.
It's like we haven't even left the ground. Filmed at a cost of £4.5 million, it was the most elaborate television hoax of all time.
An illusion David Copperfield would be proud of.
A hoax that required completely transforming an ex-US Air Force base into a fictitious Russian space camp. State-of-the-art engineering, simulator and sound design straight from the world of Hollywood.
On the launch, we have a hydraulic ram which lifts up.
An army of actors trained to improvise for every eventuality.
You could tell this group anything about space and they would believe you.
And they did.
Gravity is like just about anything else, but you can actually control it.
This is the story of the most elaborate and expensive practical joke you've probably never heard of.
Is it pipes or is it people laughing?
Are we actually in space?
So yeah, that was a crazy one. It was like 8 episodes long. These people really thought they were in space, which is like they had a launch and everything, and they thought they were up in space for 3 days, shit. And it was like, how do you buy that? But they bought it. Reality show people get ripped off. Like, it's never a good deal for the most part. Yeah, Joe Schmo. I never saw it until after Fish Tank was over. I started like looking into reality TV, and I found it. And it's crazy. It's so funny too, and what's amazing about it is like Kristen Wiig's in it, you know, and it's like 2 years before she was on Saturday Night Live, and then there's another guy on there that's on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You know, this is before they're famous. If they came back, but Joe Schmo, dude, and this is what happened on Fish Tank when the people the freeloaders started coming on the Fish Tank show. The comedy just wrote itself. Like Fatty Airsoft, he just made an ass of himself all the time, free of charge. Fucking hilarious. And this guy just seemed to do it too.
Remember when there was a reality TV show that was purposely fake?
Who would have thought putting on Molly's underwear would be fun? I mean, but it is very freeing.
The year is 2003. The Return of the King wins 11 Oscars, including Best Picture. And one of the shows that premiered in September was The Joe Schmo Show. The concept of the Joe Schmo Show was contestants went on a reality show that was similar to Big Brother, but they lived in a giant mansion. However, every contestant was an actor, except one. The show was dubbed as a social experiment.
This is a show where the guy Joe is the only one who isn't in on it. Everybody else is the actual hired actor. Man, he just makes an ass of himself.
This experiment to begin. The first person to arrive is of course Matt, so that we can see each interaction he has with all the actors.
Pretty pimp, huh?
If I was blind, I'd be able to tell Matt was white. Let's just hope he doesn't say anything else weird.
The dirty.
Oy. So I don't mean to pause again, but I had to because I noticed this guy that's playing Hutch looked very familiar. And I was right, he's actually Cricket from It's Sunny in Philadelphia. Mind blown again. Now when the women start to arrive, Matt begins to say some questionable things in his sessions.
Wow, I'm like a hot blonde girl, you know? I'd like to get to know her. I mean, as female-wise.
Well, at least he didn't say anything racial.
I have no problems, you know, with hooking up with other races or anything like that.
Oh no, Matt. Well, at least it can't get any worse.
You're gay, huh?
That's it. Heather Graham.
This episode.
I think that Molly should be proud of her body, because I am, you know? Let's get a couple shakes up there. Let's
get a couple shakes up there. Dude, this show's really funny.
Couple shakes up there.
Now,
you know, look all small on TV. So I tried to tug on him. No, I did play with it a little bit though to get the size.
I swear this video writes itself. And the way he says it as a...
So he's I guess let's watch this one more time. This is a confessional.
A little bit, you know, I didn't want to, you know, look all small on TV. So I tried to tug on him. No, I did play with it a little bit though to get the size.
No. You're mixing up the Santa with the fishes. You're thinking the Santa ones had fish.
Well, I don't have my contacts or glasses in. Those weren't fish. No, they were Santa.
My first marriage, I was very young, and I married someone really young, and he was a car stereo installer, and I got married too young. It's just the case of getting married too young.
Kristen Wiig.
So if you watch the last 3 days of FishTank.live, it was awful. It was borderline snot. It was so bad. It was 2 girls locked in a room being like, everything but physically tortured, basically. And it was just so bad. And it was intentionally that way. So a lot of people got this impression like it was like really bad. It was like really bad, tough show, but no, man. Japan has made the craziest fucking reality TV shows. Has anybody ever heard of Nasabi or Nasubi? His name is the Eggplant. This is the craziest fucking story. I actually heard about this like years ago. His name is Nasubi, and he's basically just like a failing comedian, and he signs up for this reality TV show. And what they do is he doesn't even sign a contract or anything, which is crazy. So they put him in a motel. In a motel room.
Until he won a combined 1 million yen in total from consistently entering different magazine sweepstakes. His only source of support was the money he received from these mail-in contests. The producers initially told Nasubi that the show may or may not be aired on television, that it is an experiment, and he was recording his daily activities to be broadcasted later, when in fact all of his recording.
He's not allowed to have any clothes, is nothing. All he has is thousands of magazines, and he has to enter sweepstakes in the magazines to win stuff, to like do anything, to eat, he has to win enough stuff to get enough money to get out of this house, right? Fucking crazy. They tell him that there's, nobody watching, it's just a pilot, and they're not sure if they're going to use it. And a guy comes in like once a day and like switches out a tape. But meanwhile, it's being broadcast live to like 6 million people. Doesn't even make sense that it was ever legal. Like, it's so insane what they did. I think the biggest part about it is the lying to him. He had no idea he was on live television. Clue. He knew he was on a reality TV show, but he thought it was all being like recorded. He had no idea it was being broadcast.
Things, including his most private moments, were broadcasted the entire time for the whole Japan to see and make fun of. Nasubi spent his life over a period of 18 months writing the mail-in letters for entry in order to win the prizes he saw from the magazine. And with a total of
over a year, he was in that fucking room. I said 6 weeks, 15 months. Can you imagine?
17 million viewers.
This is approaching Truman Show. That's fucking nuts.
Every Sunday night, the television program smashed records and doubled HBO's Game of Thrones average ratings.
Every day, 24 hours a day. So like Fish Tank wasn't the first to do it. It was Japan. And this is like 2000. I think it was just 2000. It's so insane. He was in this hotel room forever. And he like finally won a bag of rice after he was getting close to starvation, and he talks about it. They did interviews and they snuck him food because they felt bad. And when he wins this bag of rice, he has to just put it in a cup and put it near the heater for 24 hours until it gets
His real name is actually Tomoaki Hamatsu. The reason why he is called Nasubi is because he was nude all the time. So the production team had to conceal his private parts with an eggplant sticker, and also because of his long face. Day in and day out, Nasubi's routine looked very similar. Secluded in a tiny apartment with the only thing on his to-do list was to mail in his entries so he could win prizes. One time, he won a bag of rice and he was super ecstatic about it. But it wasn't long until he realized he didn't have a rice cooker, so what he had to do was eat it raw. He did improvise eventually and actually made a decently cooked rice using a can he won from previous sweepstakes. Once he had finished the rice, he had to resort to dog food in order to survive, and as you can see, he really didn't enjoy it. Although he knew he was going to be featured on a show, he was deceived to think that it was going to happen at a later date, which meant they didn't have his permission to be broadcasted, which also means he had zero privacy as his daily activities were being broadcasted on the TV and eventually live streamed 24/7, where a dedicated team would follow him wherever he
was allowed to leave whenever he wanted to. And then he finally wins this grand prize sweepstakes where he wins a bunch of money, and he's like, holy shit. They do this whole twist, bring him to a different part of an island off of Japan. So now he's stuck there and he has to do the whole thing over again. until he wins enough money to buy a plane ticket
One day,
home.
Nasubi finally accomplished his objective after winning enough products worth 1 million yen. Nasubi celebrated his victory by going to South Korea, he had a meal there and went to a theme park, and not long after, he was blindfolded, brought once again to an apartment. Everything was similar, but the objective now is to earn enough money to buy a flight back to Japan. As you can clearly see, Nasubi was devastated.
I mean, a year. I can't even imagine. And this is the most popular thing on television in Japan. Do you see those numbers? Like they're bigger than Game of Thrones. They're like Super Bowl numbers daily.
He knew what he was supposed to do at this point, and after a bit of a breakdown, he went all in. And in just 2 months, he was able to win enough prizes to cover the cost of the ticket.
こんなナスビを見てスタッフにはどうしても気になることがあった。ソウルから東京までの飛行機代46,900円はエコノミークラスという一番安い料金。こんなに頑張ったのにエコノミークラスとはあんまりだ。そこでビジネスクラスにランクアップということはゴールの金額もランクアップということはゴールの57,300円まであと9,500円。頑張れナスビ。
As soon as he reached that goal, they changed it again to first class.
こんなナスビを見てスタッフにはどうしても気になることがあった。
This is him talking about Korea though. When I got off on the other side in Korea, I took off the mask and they said, "Congratulations, you achieved your $10,000, which is, this is your reward. You get to have a trip in Korea." So I got to do a little sightseeing and I thought, wow, that's a long thing, boy, what I've been through. But then at the end of the day, they took me back to that room, the exact same setup, the exact same way. It was like somebody pulled the floor out from under me. I just fell. I didn't know humans could be that cruel. And it's not even like, it hasn't even gotten cruel yet. Wait until you see this.
こんなに頑張ったのにビジネスクラスとはあんまりだ。そこでファーストクラスにランクアップということはゴールの金額もランクアップということはゴールの81,600円まであと19,800円。
And he finally gets this done. And they put him on a plane, they blindfold him, they bring him back, and then they make like a replica of the room he's in. And they put him in this room, tell him he can take his blindfold off, and they leave, right? And he just instinctively just takes all his clothes off. They never told him he had to or anything. And then after like a minute or two, all the walls drop with a live audience there. And it's revealed to him that he's like been broadcast. It's fucking insane.
He was able to catch a flight back to Japan, but once more, he was blindfolded and transferred to a remote apartment. As soon as Nasubi realized where he was, he started removing all of his clothes by his own initiative. Clearly, he was feeling really upset. But then, the apartment's walls collapsed, exposing a live broadcast studio with hundreds of cheering audience members. Nasubi was visibly shocked, probably...
I don't know about 100. I don't know if this clip shows the audience.
Beyond shocked and
way more than 100.
Confused because he had literally no idea.
It's like a fucking stadium.
Idea that millions of people had been watching him for the past...
Look at that shit. It's like a basketball arena.
18 months, and that his day-to-day life had been aired for all people to see.
It's the most insane thing ever. So Fish Tank hasn't got shit on that. And with that said,
someone being stripped of their clothes, denied access to food and water, cut off from the outside world, and subjected to degradation beyond all comprehension. The transformation of Nasubi's body and mind through the whole ordeal is also very terrifying to witness. And as a result of his prolonged isolation and lack of human contact, his speech slowed down significantly. He also felt uncomfortable using clothes because he got used to being naked for a really long time. The producer justified what he had done by glorifying the success of his work and claimed that each experience was a miracle captured on camera. The only good thing that came out of this is the crackdown on the show due to its explicit content, which led to its cancellation in 2002.
Crazy, right? Here's a little more context. They were asking him about what he thought. You know, like the day after this event they just showed at the end there, he says, and so I sat there realizing that this new sort of life was, you know, I was no longer just a nobody. The entire nation had been watching me for 15 months. And, you know, to be honest, I thought, well, what is my country coming to? And I was, you know, very happy that my journey was not for nothing, but it's still fucking weird. Fuck. That's so fucked up, dude. What else did he say? It was, I don't want to overstate it, but it was kind of meditative in a way. I had a lot of time to think about my life and a lot of time to think about a lot of stuff. Well, I mean, it's 10 some years since I finished, since I did that project. And after that, everything has been much easier and much better. I mean, obviously, I'm able to deal with things. I see things happening, or I see situations around myself, and I think that's nothing like what I went through in that room. Oh my God. How fucking nuts is that? Fucking nutty. Nasuba. So that was showcasing a lot of the characters and stuff. This is Jet. He does like an interview.
The one thing I will need from you guys when Fish Tank starts is promotion. I'm gonna go ahead and beg right now. I'm gonna pre-beg. When it starts, man, when Fish Tank is live, if you want to help us, there'll be ways you can support. Like, you can of course donate to make things happen in the house. It's going to be interactive. You can basically super chat the thermostat to 100 degrees. Stuff like that. It'll be funny. But say that's not in your budget, man, and you want to support, the one thing I'll ask is, like, when it's going on, just go on any live streamer's chat and just talk about Fish Tank. You don't even have to directly shill, just talk about it. Talk about Fish Tank, man. That's what we'll actually need.
And man, I'll tell you what, like they really reached out all the time, thanking people, and you got to kind of know who were the producers and who weren't. And they did shit that they heard. I got some stuff, you know, like day one.
I came up.
They're all here.
Working as a background.
I have this little.
You guys could be.
It's so this is all just like live footage. It's not like I'm editing this to be a TV show. I'm chaptering everything. If anybody's looking for a specific thing, you know, you can go to it or whatever. That's a little more in order, because if you are a member of the tank, there is an archive and it's really chaotic. It's really hard to follow and figure out. And it's hard to figure out what's going on with the show with the clips too. I didn't really care about this show this much. Like the first day, it was kind of corny.
Why are you here?
I didn't know who Sam Hyde is. The contestants, I don't know any of these people. Right? Here's their little trailer.
One of my role models is Jesus, and probably Andrew Tate.
The Fish Tank is a fully monitored smart house. You live in the walls. You control the action.
If someone lied to me during the show, I would definitely talk to them.
8 contestants.
I'm fully vaccinated with 2 boosters. Left profile.
6 weeks.
We're definitely gonna have to team up and then kick everyone out. I like cover my ears and start screaming and have like an autism meltdown.
No privacy.
I've been in over like 100 fights. I could for real like scrap with anybody.
No phone.
The longest I've been without my phone, probably like a week or two.
We heard what you said. We know when you go to the bathroom. And one winner walks away with $10,000. This is Fish Tank.
I don't think I have any questions right now.
I kind of tuned in day 1, not really. This is all Rocky Streams clips here. Day 2, started tuning in. Nothing really happens. I mean, I have these chapters here. What did I put? Yeah, I just have them days. And it's pretty boring. It feels a lot like, at this point, it feels like Big Brother or the real world. You know, it's like, okay. And they're all like Zoomers, so it's like twice as bad. Like, I'm like, this is awful, right? Day 3, same shit.
And Simmons and Daniel with the fans.
But anyways, at this point, they're like setting up Big Brother challenges, you know? And they're clearly like dumb. And everybody's like really weird with each other, you know? And then this is when they go on YouTube, and look how different.
Most people don't know that. And what? The pagans really like that stuff. Funny babies.
I was saying like day 4 like has almost no footage because Daniel started showing his ass. It's funny because they've been doing a lot of live interviews and stuff after the show, talking about the show, and in my impression, the first one, it felt like Sam Hyde didn't really grasp how popular the show was until that live stream. Like, even with the finale and stuff, it felt like every time he came on the show, he treated it differently than Jet Neptune did. Like, Jet knew it had morphed into like a gaslighting show, where Sam Hyde was still trying to do this like Big Brother reality joke skit thing, and they weren't funny. They just never were funny. And when they did their first live stream, it was like a week after. An hour before it started, there was 10,000 people, and we all stayed for like 4 hours. And they told us so much stuff. It was amazing that I knew was right. So the first couple days are like really just shit. But the turning point in the show gets interesting for me and most other people. People are like, okay, this is when we're all like hook, line, and sinker, stuck on this show now. For clarification, the person dancing in this video is fucking Simmons. Is 29-year-old male from China. So this whole day, there's like a bunch of drama, and it becomes really interesting because TTS, or the text-to-speech, keeps telling the other contestants things about Simmons that they found, and he's not like really defending himself in any way. And like, here's them talking about it.
Counselors within each other.
The counselors and the...
Wait, I thought you just said it was only to... Oh, so that's a little weird, but it's not that bad.
Also, it is weird. It is pretty bad too. I think so. Why is an adult talking about kids dating?
That's kind of true.
He's talking about kids dating?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like counselors within each other.
The counselors and the...
Wait, I thought you just said it was only...
So they're talking about his book that was discovered that,
it was a while ago, yeah.
Legendary. Anybody else? Well, I got some reading I could do. If you want to hear some reading.
Is it Simmons' book?
No. I just keep excerpts. I keep excerpts of books that I like on my phone. I'm not a freak. All right? I mean, this is something I saved as an inspiring quote. There was a counselor who worked for a camp for decades. Everybody loves him, but he got fired because he offered drinks to underage girls and allegedly raped her. Here's how to do it the right way. And I don't know, what is the right way? How does that go? You don't know either?
It was a while ago. Yeah.
His answer was, it was a while ago. And, like, there was so many accusations coming through. And what was interesting is when you watch the show, if you were in the Discord, like, the information that was, like, coming on the show was an hour before all over Discord, right? So, like, I'm seeing all these old tweets and everything, and, like, I saw the book. I've seen the book. The book is not as much of a smoking gun as it looks like on this video. Like, once you read it, you're like, oh, but there's so much other stuff that is bad, right? And John gets, like, crazy humiliated by this, right? And he's becoming the most popular kid on the show.
It was a while ago?
No, I don't think that's my book.
It's probably a hacker.
So he reads a few more quotes or stuff. And then he gets up and he does this, like, Chinese thing where he's like, dong, 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 right? And I thought he was just, like, trying to be funny or whatever. No, come to find out, he learned how to say in Mandarin Chinese, else you're kicked off the show. This part was not fake. This is all real. And, like, one of the things the lawyer said, like, they could not have any sex offenders, sex predators on the show. So this is a big fucking deal.
You'll understand in your language. Okay. Translation, I'm kicking you off the show.
Anyways, he really did say that in Mandarin Chinese. I'm kicking you off the show.
Taking you to a bus station in Fall River and saying goodbye.
Kind of just an interesting tidbit.
1.5 minutes to get your shit.
So the other important part that happens from this, right? John and Simmons kind of, like, close. And I was always like, John's gay, dude. Because Simmons is clearly fucking gay. I mean, cross-dresses on the show. And, I mean, you saw the video intro there. John has, you know, you can see him. He's just kind of sitting there. He's not saying anything.
Yeah, he's got like 12 books on Amazon that he's written that are just, like, the most shit-headed, like, incomprehensible fucking...
He said he makes $100 a month off them, too.
$100 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this month it was probably me because I bought 8 copies of them for us to do book reports on, but that was...
They did do that. He brought the books in. They had to write book reports, and John tore them all up. Anyways, John gets all... This is them kicking him out. It's not even a big deal. Nothing happens or anything. But then...
I mean, we could talk off camera.
John locks himself in the bathroom. John was notorious for doing this. Like, whenever he didn't get his way or, like, something he wasn't happy about something, he'd lock himself into places. And this was, like, the #1 no thing for the show. Get the show shut down, like, real quick.
Like, I don't want to like, talk to you in front of cameras and in front of people. I want to talk to you, like, one-on-one.
Jay, can I talk to you when you're done?
Yeah. That's fine. It's stressful, man. That was... Yeah.
Basically, he was humiliated earlier in the day. Oh, shit.
Do you just need a minute? Because I'll leave you alone, man. I know what it's like to have someone talk to you and you just don't want to hear it. Do you want me to leave you alone for like 5 minutes and let you relax? Bring it in, bro. You alright?
No, so let me explain the book. So the book was like, this is what the book was. It was like Google Books, right? Or Amazon Books. And it was a digital copy book that Amazon would print if you ordered a print for it. And he was downloading like transcripts of YouTube videos and translating them really badly. And he was making like how to be books, like counselor books. And there was a couple passages like that. It came out really bad. You know, ebooks of that. I mean, they were so bad. It was funny, like so bad. But his like Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that, that stuff's really sketchy. He's got some really questionable shit on that. But the books really, like I said, they didn't end up being a very big deal. Fucking weird, man. Mario quit because of it.
For all the fucking weirdos.
You to Jet, who gave me up the opportunity.
My theory on Mario quit because he was worried he was going to get exposed for being gay. That's what it was. He gives this whole excuse here, so stupid. And then he came back to the show later. After we did the interview, he came back on the show 2 days later. Like, once he started seeing he was, like, popular for it, he went back on the show, and then, boy, did he expose himself. He looked fucking dumb. He, like, goes out of his way to, like, act like you're a bigot for saying he's gay. It's like, dude, you're... It's, like, flamboyant. It's not...
It's just my stomach feels like
Fish Tank. So I just want to start this video off by saying thank you to everyone who supported me, who's supporting me right now. I want to say thank you to Jet, who gave me up the opportunity to be on this show. Thank you to the whole team of Fish Tank. They were amazing. Everyone there was super nice and chill. The reason why I left was because happened.
As you can tell, I don't like Morrow.
I
don't like him
that
at
starts
all.
with the S being a P. I didn't feel comfortable being there, and I felt like
They say Simmons is a pedo.
I feel like my stomach was like turning around when I found that out. It was just like a weird feeling, and I just didn't feel comfortable being there, especially because I was his roommate and I would sleep next to him.
Yeah, let's go, much love.
Yeah, essentially, it was because he was a liability, big time. And like John was like upset about it, and like if you listen to that whole interview, you kind of reveal that like Jet was like, "Listen, dude, we uncovered some stuff about him. He really is a bad guy." Because it's hard to hear what they're saying, but if you turn it up, you can hear it. And John's like, "Why are you getting rid of my friend?" and shit like that. Pretty weird. It's basically, I don't like, it's not fake like they were like, "Oh, we're gonna make this fake." It's like they made this idea, they didn't know if it was gonna work, and it sort of worked, and then it doesn't work. So it's like a thing for a while, and then it's not a thing. There's so many of these things about this show that are just worthless to explain. Like, whoa, what's a fish book? Doesn't matter, because the show is about like the different personalities, just like all reality TV shows. And there's always one person who doesn't get the joke, sorta. And it's kind of funny watching this person think that they're smart and they're not. I mean, and there's other things that happen, but that's the majority. I would say it's like this 24 hours live stream where they come up with gaslights. Nothing's pre-planned. They just kind of go with whatever's happening. This is one of these challenges for $3. They all have to stay in this room, and the last one to leave gets 3 fish bucks. So if you wanted to pee or eat, you had to leave, so you lose, right? And it was so dumb. The whole time I was watching this, I remember bitching. I was like, "This is so gay. Why would you lock everybody in one room? This is so boring." And like the highlight was the Letty pissed in the bowl in the closet, and then it was just like, it was dumb. And the show wasn't very fun other than like learning about the people on the show. So the only thing that kept you hooked was people were coming out of the woodworks being like, "I know this person, I know that person," you know. It was pretty crazy. And so you were just learning about everybody. The characters after the Simon thing, everybody's getting along now in these day 11s, day 12s. And this is when I first came out with my first live show. I actually don't have any footage for J13. I like did this show on it, and that was it. And I have a little bit of footage in this live show. And this is I'm all right. Okay, this show is getting pretty good. It's really interesting because it really is 24/7, and there's something unique happening here. And then it starts getting the nighttime starts getting fun, and the TTS starts getting really active, and it starts getting really, really funny. And the show's it's changing quality wise too.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, they are.
This is just a side note. I'm pretty sure this was the site getting hacked. You can hear it saying something.
Sure.
There was 3 or 4 different instances of this happening.
I blocked her
They were all slightly different.
after that.
Yeah.
So I don't want her to see any more of my stuff. I was oh my god. Because it was all the family friends I had added were
It sounds like it's saying my house. I think it's saying my house.
you're gonna get out of the show and you're gonna be committed instantly.
I mean, that's possible. That's not what I mean, though. I just mean, fucking... I can't think of how to say it.
Sound effect. You can buy them. And so that's one of the sound effects you can buy. That would have cost on this night. I want to say it would have been $30 to play a sound effect. Okay, so just pay attention to what happens. We're gonna watch 1 minute. It's also 3 in the morning.
I guess I mean the line between reality and the game can get blurred so much that it could break you.
Yeah, I mean, it does seriously fuck with my emotions.
Yeah.
Just because, well, I guess because humans are social animals, so the social thing is really, really important. Even if you tell yourself, oh, it doesn't matter, the people out there watching is what matters, winning is what matters, the social thing is still gonna matter to you whether you admit it or not.
Of course. Yeah, you mean with the contestants?
Yeah, just the relationships with everyone in the house.
Yeah, of course. Especially because you have to live with them for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the first debate happened.
Vance 2 snakes, you know.
Vance 2 snakes, you know. What, us two? Yeah, fuck it.
Why is that Hog Chow still in your room? You retards, I am sending fart sounds now.
She wasn't lying. They put it in here.
Yeah, it is kind of really boring. Okay.
Just give you context. I jumped ahead 7 minutes. 7 minutes. I just jumped ahead.
Talk over the farts. And all the viewers were just listening to farts too. So who's the joke really on, huh? You guys are all listening to farts right now too.
God damn it. Can I fuck this up anymore? Holy shit. Anyways.
Alright, bros, stay with
Seriously.
You're pathetic.
No, you're pathetic. You're pathetic.